This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred. And just for Kal Yafai, I'm delighted to be joined by the former WBA World Super Flyweight Champion over Zoom. Kal, how is life?
Very good, man. I can't complain. Very, very good.
Good to hear.
It's even better now for me.
It's just for you, Matt. I think you'll probably be the only one who hears that for the time being. But yeah, it's good to catch up. Happy New Year to yourself. How did you find kind of celebrating that and obviously the Christmas period?
First of all, Happy New Year to you too. Yeah, it's quiet. Don't do much anyway, but it's just chilled. Not the usual way, you go around your families and everybody's in that Christmas kind of spirit. But nah, it's all good. Just nice and quiet. Yeah, can't really say much about it, to be honest.
In a normal world, Kal, obviously I know you've got your brothers, you've got a big family. What would happen around the Yafai households over the festive period? What would you all get up to?
Not much. Just the usual get together, really. We get together most weeks, so we just get together and with partners and things like that, and have a nice Christmas dinner and stuff like that. It's just the usual what everyone else does, but it's normally pretty quiet, laid back. Kids get together, kids open some presents, and that's about it.
I don't know why in my head I'm imagining you all kind of playing Monopoly or something, getting very competitive and frustrated for one of you cheating or somewhere along the lines.
No, we can't do board games. We can't do board games.
What is that?
It turns nasty. Can't do that stuff, man. It turns nasty, man.
That doesn't surprise me to hear. Kal, let's obviously get into some boxing talk. Talk to me about yourself. It's been a while since you haven't fought since the Chocolatito fight back in February last year. Talk to me about your plans for 2021. I know you've obviously linked up with Paul Reddy and STN Sports, Sean O'Toole as well. Just talk to me about how everything's lined up for yourself.
Yeah, just had a good break, which is good. Recharged my batteries. I've been boxing a long time. From at a high level, from qualifying for the Beijing Olympics 12 years, well, nearly 13 years ago. It's a long time. And then obviously I stayed amateur, trying to go 2012. I qualified for 2012, and then lost out on the place there to Andrew Salvi. And then I turned pro, and it was hectic as well, going pro. I think I fought 6 times in the first 7 months as a pro. So obviously after the Chocolatito fight, I had time to, the pandemic hit, and just got time to, take time out, reflect, relax, let my body recover. And that's what I did, and made a few changes. And I'm looking forward to coming back very soon. And yeah, new weight division, which will benefit me a lot. I think I'll benefit a lot from that, and I think people will see a more exciting version of myself in this year up at bantamweight.
Just before we delve into your move up to bantamweight, Kal, and obviously the plans that you'll have lined up or you'll have in your mind as to what you would like to achieve this year, how important has this break been for yourself? Because you mentioned it there, not a lot of people will realise just how long, you amongst others have committed to the sport from when you had first entered a boxing gym, fighting at high levels across the amateur scene in the UK and then around the world. People don't kind of really understand just how long you've been in and around the sport. How important have you found, in fact, we're close to a year now, just kind of being able to take your time and do something other than box with it?
Yeah, I think it's done me really good, like really benefited me. Let my body recover. My hands have had the chance to recover. Elbows, they've all had the chance to heal properly, and now I can hit a bag and without being in pain, enjoying it. Not that I ever didn't enjoy it, but you've got that new hunger, and I feel like I'm more hungry now than I was before. like I'm starving for success, and yeah, I've really benefited from it. And obviously, we've had a pandemic. It's been rough, but I think if anyone's going to benefit from it, if there's anything to benefit from a pandemic, I think I benefited from it with the time out, because I needed it anyway, and yeah, I just got time to spend some time at home with my partner, with my family, and yeah, I'm just raring to get back in there now, and I'll be ready to go. Probably look at some time in spring.
Something I was going to ask you about. I spoke to Gamel this morning. He said that he's looking to get back in springtime, and as are yourself. Talk about the plans that you've briefly discussed, whether it be with Eddie, with STN, your management company, with whoever. What's kind of the plan moving forward?
Yeah, well, first of all, I got together with STN, with Paul, who was with Matchroom for a long time. I've known Paul for about 8 years, and worked pretty close with him through his time at Matchroom. So it was like a natural progression with the relationship and stuff like that. And we get on more on the outside of boxing kind of thing as well as just inside boxing. So that worked out really well. A lot of people were messaging me and asking me, why have you left Matchroom? And if you left Matchroom, now you've signed with this new company. I was like, nah. I've been with Matchroom from day dot, and I have a really good relationship with Eddie and Frank and everyone at Matchroom. So, I'm a Matchroom fighter, and no doubt that I will be to the end. But yeah, it's been good to get together with Paul. Outline some plans for the future and see what's to come. I think the main thing is, I think everyone's on the same page with the future, and I think just get back in and just the thing that I want is just want to be world champion again. So whatever it takes, whoever I've got to fight, whatever it takes, world champion.
You've just mentioned it there, Kal. You've got that desire to become a world champion again, to become a two-weight world champion at that. What is the plan then? When you have your first fight at bantamweight, will it be kind of against a British level fighter? Will it be somebody European? Where do you see yourself stepping back into in the immediate future?
Ideally, I'd want to get back in with a world ranked fighter. So I want to show my ambition. I want to show my ability up at bantamweight, and basically show people that in my last couple of fights at super flyweight, I was basically a shell of myself, which I was, and yeah, I just can't wait for that. That's what I want. I want to show people, I want people to be excited about me how they were when I first turned over, and I was blasting people out, and that's what I'll do at bantamweight.
I mean, at bantam, Kal, you've obviously got a man who's seen as a killer of a division in Noya Niue, who holds 3 of the belts. A lot of people kind of waiting to see whether or not, if he unifies and becomes undisputed, if he'll move up and then the belts will all become vacant at that. Is that kind of the plan in your eyes? Are you just kind of waiting to see as well what happens with Noya Niue?
I think he's an animal. I'm not deluded. I know he's a beast. So I think a lot of people are waiting to see what happens. But I just whatever's meant to be is meant to be. Who I fight and who I challenge for a world title. I know the sport. I know what it's about, and I know what I need to do to get back to the top. And I'll leave the mapping out to Eddie and Frank and Paul, and I'm sure they'll sort out the best route.
With this 11-month period out of the ring, Kal, we're still in the middle of this pandemic. In your eyes, given as well how hard it seems to be for fighters to get on shows, I imagine it'd be a bit easier for you because of your background, what you've achieved in the sport, but it's still kind of few and far between for spaces for fighters to get onto shows. Do you think kind of 2021 or 2022 you would be in the frame for a world title fight?
You know what? I couldn't tell you, because in this day and age, opportunities just come out of nowhere. So when opportunity comes, I'll be there to take them. But also saying that, my team will know what's right, and if the timing's right for a big fight and things like that. I've been with the same team from day one, and they've not done too bad with my career. So I think they know what they're doing. So I think I'll continue to leave that in their hands with my promoter, and I'm sure we'll make the right choices.
Carl, one thing you said a few questions ago is you want to show everybody that for the last couple of fights you had a super flyweight, you was just a shell of yourself, and you want to show everybody again just how good you are at bantam. Do you hold any regrets on sticking at super fly for those last couple of fights, and obviously the last one being against Chocolatito, or is it something that you're happy with the decision you made and where it's left you now?
Yeah, no regrets with that. There's, you know, I made it. The thing is, I'm my own man, so I'll make the decisions. I'm not like a lot of fighters where they just do as they're told. If I don't want to fight somebody, I won't fight somebody, or if I want to fight somebody, I'll fight that person. I'm not afraid to say what I want to do and what I don't want to do. You know, I make my voice heard, and you know, I think that's the way it has been. If I want to do something, I'll do it, and we do that as a team. But I have no regrets. You know, I've had 7 world title fights. I achieved a lot of experience in them fights, and I was always chasing that big fight. And you know, for one reason or another, they never seemed to come off as early as I wanted them to. So and when it come, I just grabbed it with both hands. So you know, I was always chasing the Chocolatito fight because I knew he was the biggest name, and financially he was the biggest fight. So you know, I was more than happy to take that fight, and I honestly believed I'd win that fight. But obviously, when I look back at it, I think, yeah, you know, maybe I did stay at the weight 2 or 3 fights too long. Realistically, after I made my US debut on a top ranked show in Fresno, after that fight, I should have realistically moved up. But I never, and I have no regret to that. It paid off, and you know, financially, and it set me up for the future. But obviously, I never got the win against Chocolatito, but I learned a hell of a lot, and I think that'll stand me in good stead for the future. And I still think I got a long time in the sport, because I think I'm relatively very fresh. I'm not, you know, I'm not one of them that comes out busted up in fights. After the Chocolatito fight, after the Chocolatito fight, that was the first time I've come out of a fight with a bruise.
Cal, one fight which still, and I believe you probably always will do and be mentioned for as long as you box, is against a fellow Brit in Charlie Edwards. Do you see there being any possibility of that fight happening in the near future, if not this year, maybe next? Or do you think you both will just kind of go down your own paths and we won't see the pair of you in the ring?
To be honest with you, I ain't really bothered about it. If it happens, great. I get to boss him up. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't affect me. You know, if it's one of them. If it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. It doesn't bother me. I think he needs me more than I need him. But you know, he's obviously with his new promoter and stuff like that. But it doesn't really bother me. You know, he's the one that's been chasing me for years. But if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not. It doesn't affect me. I got big fights up at bantamweight. I'm with the best promoter in the game. Delivered me my opportunities. You know, set me up financially for life. So I ain't really bothered. I ain't really bothered about, you know, Charlie Edwards. But if it's there, if the fight's there and there's some money to be made for it, yeah, I'll grab it. No doubt about that. But yeah, it's not one of them that really bothers me. My main thing is basically getting back, winning a world title. That's the main thing. Fighting the top fighters, the best ranked fighters. And that's it, really.
Carl, moving forward, just trying to get your thoughts on a couple of other things. Back at your old division, we saw Ioka defeating Tanaka. Was it this past weekend? I believe it was on Friday night, or Friday morning rather.
Was it Friday or Saturday?
I think it was Friday because
Friday morning.
Friday morning. Just your thoughts on it. A brilliant performance from Ioka.
Yeah, very vintage performance. He old Mandy. he's been around a long time at Ioka, and yeah, he boxed a very smart fight, and basically took out Tanaka in style, who looked a really good fighter, 3 division world champion. But it looked a bit like man v boy in there. He looked like a young kid who was just really excited and going for it. It looked like a top amateur, that style, in and out, coming for it. But Tanaka, Ioka just old man him, and he's a really good fighter, and I'm sure he'll set up some big fights at Superfly.
One other fight which is happening at Superfly is one between your last opponent in Roman Gonzalez and Juan Francisco Estrada, the second fight. Just your thoughts on it, Kal. What do you think would happen in that one this time round?
Yeah, it's a pick and fight, really. Estrada, he had a tough fight against Quadras in his last fight. Quadras put up a good show. I didn't think he would. I thought he was completely past it because he struggled against very average fighters and managed to get the majority decisions. But he done well. Depends what that's took out of Estrada. But it'd be interesting to see how good Chocolatito can turn it off. A lot of people, start thinking he's probably on the slide and that. But as he's shown against me, he can turn it up, and he wants to turn it up, and I'm sure he'll be turning it up against Estrada. So I think it's one of them fight of the year candidates. No doubt about it. And it's a very exciting fight. One I'll be looking forward to see.
Moving forwards, once again, Kal, just get your thoughts on your brothers. Gamel, first and foremost, I know he was victorious for that EBU title back in the middle-ish of December. Just kind of reflect on his performance for me, Kal. And what did he mean to you as his brother to see him have that bit of luck, effectively? He's had a horrible time with injuries over the past couple of years. To see him pick up what is a belt which many fighters would love to fight for and win, which has also given him that kind of standing again in the sport, for have people headhunting him now. What did it mean for you to see him pick up that belt?
Yeah, it meant a lot to me. I know it meant a lot to him. We couldn't get him out of the ring afterwards. He was celebrating that much. But you could see what it meant to him. If a lot of people don't see what goes on behind closed doors, so they don't see the horrible time he's had, and he fought on the Khan bit in Birmingham and torn his bicep, and then 8 months later he's back in, ready to fight again. He was meant to fight in Italy, which is a weird thing. Fight in Italy, and then on the week of the fight and the last spar on the Monday, he tears his other bicep, so then he's out for a long time again. And it's been a horrible time for him, because obviously tearing both biceps 2 different times, it's a long time to be out of the ring. Obviously financially you're going to take a hit as well. Just had a kid, bought a house, things like that. It's difficult, and to see him come back, no warm-up fight, he's straight back in as a challenger, and I think he done really well under the circumstances. Being out, last time he fought was November 2019, and then he's fighting over a year later, challenging. The last time he had realistically a meaningful fight before that was against Gavin McDonnell. And bloody hell, that's almost 3 years ago. So, he's done really well going to the Lions Den, fighting a tough champion. And he's done really well, and the doors open up for him now because he's a champion, and the opportunities will come, no doubt, so we can build on it.
What do you think will be next for your brother? What would you like to see him do next?
It depends. I think it's just up to whatever, Eddie and Frank decide, and just see what's out there for him. I think he'll probably defend his European title, build some momentum, and then kind of look at the world stage and see what's up there. I think that would be ideal, and then get him involved in some eliminators, something like that.
And then Gamel, onto your other brother, Galal. I know he qualified for the Olympics back in last year now, but he's still obviously waiting to see what's going to be going on with the rest of the tournament. And then, of course, whether or not the Olympics do take place this coming summer. But how is he doing? How is he ticking over?
Yeah, he's good. He's back in Sheffield today, and he's he just wants to get to the Olympics. He just wants to get there. It's taken a long time. He's one of the fortunate ones though that qualified last March. So he's in a privileged position to know that he's qualified and he's going, because there's a lot of fighters that that went to that qualifier and they still don't know if they're going to qualify for the Olympic Games. He's qualified for them, and he's just training hard and building towards, hopefully it happens and he goes and medals at the Olympic, and if he can win a gold medal, then he changes his life. But a very talented individual, and I'm sure he'll do well at the Olympics, and I'm sure he'll be a very, very exciting fighter in the pros when it comes.
Kal, just to move forward, just get your thoughts on a few of the fights which have taken place recently. A few days or a couple of days after your brother fought, we saw Saul Canelo Alvarez defeat somebody you know well, Canelo-Smith, via unanimous decision. Just your thoughts on that fight for me, Kal. Take me back to it. What did you think?
Canelo is just Canelo. He's a top fighter. And Callum, obviously, you just don't know what was the issue with the injury on his arm. Looked horrific after the fight. How early that was in the fight, and obviously what problems it caused. Obviously, it would have caused a lot of problems. But saying that, taking away nothing from Canelo, he's a top fighter. He's on he's pound for pound for a reason, and there's no disgrace in losing to him. I'm sure Canelo will chase someone like Billy Joe Saunders or Golovkin again. So yeah, some exciting fights there to be made, and I'm sure there's still a lot of exciting fights for Callum. Probably like to see him move up, but don't know. It's obviously that's something for him and his team to discuss. Got nothing to do with me, but I'm sure he can still win the world title. He's very talented and he can punch.
Just with Canelo, there's a lot of talk about kind of what's next. He seems to be that he's going to defend against Avni Yildirim, his mandatory challenger, before looking at, Billy Joe or Caleb planting a unification fight. In your eyes, who do you think would give Canelo his toughest test out of the fighters who he hasn't fought, whether that be somebody from 168, 160, or as I mentioned to your brother earlier, a name that was mentioned was Artur Beterbiev at 175. Who do you think is the man who could beat Canelo?
I think obviously if he moved up to light heavy, well, he's already been at light heavy, but if he moved back up there and he fought someone like Beterbiev, he'd be the most dangerous, because that guy can punch. I've seen him through the amateurs for years, and we went to training camp in Russia years ago, and he was knocking out sparring partners. So he's a very dangerous puncher, but also he's vulnerable when he gets caught himself, as you see with Callum Johnson. So I think he's probably the one at light heavy that can probably take Canelo out. But the thing is with Canelo as well is like he gets hit. He's been hit by CaneloSmith. He's been hit by Golovkin. Two massive punches, and it doesn't seem to affect him. So, the interesting one.
And then just before his game this past weekend, we saw Ryan Garcia stop Luke Campbell. Just your thoughts on that fight once again, Kal. What did you make of it?
It was a great fight to watch. Very, very exciting fight. I thought Luke was gonna win the fight. I thought his experience and his ability would see him through. But after that second round knockdown was a great shot. Feinted to the body with a jab and then backhand over the top. But I just think Garcia showed his mettle, showed how tough he is, and come through that. And then, he was aggressive all the way through, and that body shot at the end, feinted it to the head and down to the body. It was a beautiful left hook to the body. And I think he announced himself on the world stage. I think, he's shown to people he's not just hype. He's not on Instagram, one of them Insta fighters. He's a real deal, and I look forward to him being in the mix. You should stay away from Gervonta Davis. So.
Something I was going to ask you, Kal, was obviously after the fight, he called out Tank and he called out Devin Haney, who was there. You've also got Vasyl Lomachenko still there, obviously Teofimo Lopez, who holds most of the titles. It's a stacked division. Shakur Stevenson, if he decided to move up as well, what would you like to see next for Ryan Garcia?
I think the mandatory against Haney's the one that needs to happen. Leave Javante Davis alone. I don't think he's right for him. You know, he doesn't move his head and his feet are pretty slow and he's there to be hit. And I think if Javante Davis landed that shot that Luke Campbell landed in the second round, I don't think he would have. I think he would have been on him and got him out of there and then. But there's Teofimo Lopez, stay away from him because he's dangerous. I think he's probably the best out of the lot. And people underestimate Lomachenko because I think, you know, because he lost to Teofimo Lopez, he's out the picture, and I think he's still probably, you know, could be the most dangerous out of the lot for him. But I think the Haney fight is the one to go for, which it should happen anyway because this is mandatory. So I don't see why that shouldn't happen.
Just want to get your thoughts on something with the fight itself, Carl. I don't know whether you saw or not, but one of the judges who scored the second round a 10-9, which happened to be the round that Luke dropped Ryan in. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not a judge, but yeah, I think it was it's bullshit really. It's a 10-8 round. It was a heavy knockdown, and he won the round. That's what they're for. 10-8 rounds. That was a 10-8 round. I don't know how you can score it a 10-9 round, but hey ho, that's what happens. You know, you always get some dodgy judges here and there, don't you?
Carl, we'll leave it there, and I'll leave you now to enjoy the rest of your day and what I imagine will be the last few days of your time off before you get back into the gym and get ready for your ring return properly. I appreciate your time as always, mate. I'll catch up with you again soon. Thank you for speaking to Boxing Social.
No problem, man. It was a pleasure.